Hey everybody, welcome back to another production meeting. We got this going. It's like a cycle now. We gotta go keep going with this. How are you guys doing this week?
Good. I actually did stuff. I,
Oh,
I I watched more than one movie, like our homework, which is usually my quota.
did you watch your specific homework?
Oh, I made up for it by watching other things. I completely forgot about that.
Alex starting strong.
I completely forgot about doing Con Air. Shoot.
Which
But go
which
ahead.
reminds me, we did the poll on the Facebook page. Alex, I'm gonna have to go with the people and say that a classic is whatever movie you haven't seen. So Con Air is gonna is goes in with that realm. So sorry,
I'm
buddy.
gonna I'll respect that, but in my mind, I'm gonna be with it has to be like a classic car where it's gotta
Look,
be at least 20 years old.
if it helps, and I don't want to give too much away before we get into it, uh, you are watching a better movie than the one we're reviewing. So
Yes. Yeah. Probably.
Dang. Okay. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Um, but what I did do, I did the homework. I watched The Substance. We're talking about that a little bit beforehand, and yeah, that was mini review on that. That's the most disgusting movie I've ever watched in my life.
That's an experience, yes.
Yes, that was a lot, and so props on the makeup team and prosthetics and whoever does whatever on that part, making everything look real and sound gross. And it's definitely an R-rated. Is it classified as a horror? Do you guys know?
Hmm.
Okay. I
very
don't
much.
think I knew that going into it. So I think it actually is better that I didn't know that for like the complete shock factor. I think
Okay.
if I'd have been told this is a very, very incredibly nasty movie, I don't know if I'd have been quite as shocked. But yeah, that was an experience. So I did that. Um, and I just today watched One of Them Days, which leading a little bit more into my review for later on, uh, is by default the best movie I've watched this year. It's actually kind of it's funny. It's paced pretty well. There's not a lot of pithy dialogue that doesn't really get you anywhere, which is usually a common factor for movies kind of like this, where it's kind of like similar to Friday, where I think they're the whole point is that they have to pay their rent. Somebody takes their rent, and then like they're trying to figure out how to pay their rent, kind of deal. That's the majority of the movie. And it's legitimately decent. I actually recommend it. I would watch it again. So, did that. I've gotten more of Stellar Blade done. That's still pretty cool. That's Clint, I would possibly recommend that because it's similar to Devil May Cry-ish, if I didn't say that
Oh,
the
really?
last time. Yeah, it's like Devil May Cry, a little bit of Kingdom Hearts, but like not Kingdom Hearts. Like it's kind of like there's the different levels. Like there's the small little gross creatures, and then there's a little bit bigger ones, and then there's like the really really big ones compared to
Hmm.
like Heartlesses and Kingdom Hearts. So that's what I've been doing the majority of the week. I feel like I watched something else. I did watch a little bit more of Castlevania. I don't know if I said last time that I watched the complete first season, which is only 4 episodes. You can knock that out in a couple hours. But I like that, so I'm gonna try and work my way up to the most recent. What is it, Nocturne? Is that what's the current thing? So I'm gonna work my way to that. I really like it. Matt asked me, "Are you gonna start getting into Castlevania games now?" I said, "No, not because it's bad or anything. I looked up. Somebody was like ranking them with like memes, and I was like, there is way too many Castlevania games for me to get into. So no, that's cool. I'll watch the show and just make it. It'll be like the One Piece for me. Like I'll let the movie summarize or the show summarize everything as
Yeah,
best as it can. So.
yeah,
And I think that's all I've done since our last video. So, what about you guys?
right?
I did the homework and I worked a lot. And it's really hard to be at the theater when you work so much. So like I keep meaning to go see Complete Unknown and I don't want to. Last Showgirl, It's free. I can go watch it for free. I'm not going to. So
Oh,
yeah, just really the homework. I watched Flight Risk and Presence. I finished Skeleton Crew a couple weeks ago, actually, whenever the last episode aired. Um, and
oh yeah.
that's pretty much it. So I did some obscure movie homework. It's not streaming anywhere. It's not great, so I don't feel like, really bogging down when I'm going to
Gotcha.
save my breath for the Oscars. So yeah, homework.
Sweet. Okay. I too watched The Substance. That is definitely an experience that I probably don't want to really do again. Um, I watched A Real Pain with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. Um, that was a decent movie. I liked that movie. It was a light, I wouldn't say light, I guess, due to the subject matter, but it's a well-paced movie. Let's put it that way. It is like a quick hour and a half, kind of drama with Kieran Culkin definitely stealing the show. I think he definitely deserved his Golden Globe. Um, it's a pretty good. It's a very good movie. Um, Finished Castlevania Nocturne season two. As I said in my mini review, it is a complete opposite from the first season. Like the first season is very much story building, character building, world building, all that other stuff, and this one is very much um, the action pieces of it, and the animation and the fight scenes are done very well. Probably the best. I'm wondering if this is probably the best stuff that like they put out this year in animation, fighting, and stuff. So it was done very, very well. And
Mhm.
Ryan, I also did finish the Skeleton Crew. Um, I liked it. Um, like I said in my mini review, I think Goonies in Space is very overly simplified but you can't really say anything else. I mean, it's like a little fun
Yeah,
adventure.
I think I think it does a good job at existing, being fun and light, enjoyable, and Jude Law is really great.
Yeah,
And I got some really good laughs and enjoyment out of it. And then by the end, I was like, okay, I don't know if it
yeah,
needs like a little bit more of a wrap up or just something else. I definitely felt a little unfulfilled by the finale.
yeah. I would say that. Like, I think that, like that was the kind of the knock on the the show is that it did feel like we could have done a little bit more with this, and like the other planet, like what was that
Yeah.
all about? And a
Or
little bit more.
Rachel. Yeah. Rachel doesn't really like get super invested in Star Wars. She was like really into this. And by the
Really?
end, like during the finale, she was like, "Oh, what is this? Like, what's happening? Like, oh, I know what that means." And by the end, she was like, that's it? Freaking didn't explain anything. Like, that sucks. She was so mad. And I'm like, I don't necessarily blame you. Like,
Yeah,
they definitely built up a little bit more. And I'm not saying things that was like pivotal to the understanding of the fun of the show, but at the same time, like,
Hmm.
yeah.
just kind of exists.
There were holes, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't if they don't do a second season, like I won't be upset. But if they do, it's kind of like, all right, I think I can go through this ride again. Um, but yeah, that was about it. I did enjoy it. I thought it was good. I'm still keeping up with Severance and Harley Quinn. So, and I also did watch Presents as well. I did not do the homework, fortunately,
Hmm.
considering circumstances. But we're gonna move on to our Oscars. So we're gonna talk little bit Oscars. Um, who got nominated? We're gonna do obviously the top six, whatever. We're not gonna go through every single one of them. And then at the end, we're gonna give I think we should give our predictions in each category. See if we were surprised by any of them, and then kind of like I said, we can talk about like who we think is gonna win and whatever. So let me pull up the list. Sorry, give me a second.
When are the Oscars this year?
Hey,
I
that's
want
a
to say
good
March
question.
14th,
I want to say that as well.
March 2nd. They moved up. from last year.
Wow, and the
I
nominations were
live.
just last week, right?
Yeah, Thursday.
Wow. Okay.
That's why there was a little bit of a push. This is sorry, this has been like all I've been stalking in my free time. Uh, so that's why there was a little bit of a push last week with movies getting expansions and re-releases. Substance got a re-release. Last Showgirl came out. September 5 got pushed. Brutalist got pushed from its wide release because they were all slated for the weekend right after the Oscar nominations came out. And then they all ended
Oh,
up
wow.
opening the weekend before the Oscar nominations came out, which was a little embarrassing for movies like Last Showgirl coming in with zero nominations.
Right. Okay. So let's start with where did it go? Let's start with music. Let's do musical original score. So we got The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. Um, and I kind of agree with you, Ryan. There's two musicals in there, so like, what are we doing?
So how are you gonna disqualify Zimmer for doing 20% of music from the first movie, and you're gonna nominate a musical score that's just 80% of the 2004 Broadway play? What? Why are we doing this? I mean, Conclave's a good score. Wild
Hmm.
Robot's a good score. I got through a couple songs in the Brutalist before I got really bored. Um, I couldn't get into Amelia Paris at all, the score or the musical numbers, because the musical numbers made me laugh too much and the score was unbearable. And I listened to the score from Wicked and it's fine, but it genuinely, I like John Powell's orchestration, genuinely just sounds like covers of the songs. I'm not saying that I love the music from Challengers, but objectively, I think it's so unique and original and the way it adds to the movie. Where is it here? Are Gregson Williams filling in for Zimmer for Gladiator 2? That was a pretty good score. Uh, Benjamin Wallfish for Alien or anything, Twisters, or Danny Elfman for Beetlejuice. There's some good scores this year that aren't here.
Y-
I'm rooting for
y-
Conclave.
I
Yeah,
am too.
I I saw Conclave. I'm not as in tune with that. I do agree. It's a little odd. Like, of those, I think I saw Wicked and Wild Robot. I think those were the only two I saw. And I agree. I'm like, yeah, you disqualify Dune 2, but this is literally, you're just taking a musical from what, 20 years ago? And like you said, it's not 100% like right on the button, but it's covers. It's literally that, and it just feels like that's a little bit like hypocritical.
Yeah,
So, not to say anything bad about the quality of the movie itself, it just is like, well, if you let this one in, you gotta kind of let this one in, and
but
you're
that's
right.
not the
Well,
rules, Alex.
uh, I, apparently,
Oh,
evidently,
I'm too
and
warm.
so, but oh, and then yeah, Amelia Perez. Like I heard like nothing good about that. Like why is it even here? Like story's bad, music's bad, musical numbers are bad. So
Yes.
I'll get on that high horse uh, after the following nominees. But
so
yeah, Brutalist will win. Conclave should win. Those are my predictions.
I do agree that um, Conclave should win because it is a boring story that has a very good sound, like a very good score that kept me. I think it was the score that kind of kept me in like this show.
Yeah, you could toss that score on a thriller. That dun 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 dun. It
Yeah.
feels so tense and high strung, and that closing credit song, it's phenomenal. I would
Hmm.
hear it from whenever it was playing on Theater One. I'd be like, oh look, I gotta go check on Theater One for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But the
Um,
Brutalist will win because it's the same song over and over again. So that's what always wins.
cool, I guess. Okay, so music original song. We have El Mal from Emilia Perez, The Journey from the Six Triple Eight, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, Mi Camino from Emilia Perez, and Never Too Late from Elton John, Never Too Late. That seems
If the Oscars had real guts, they do the surgery song everyone's making fun of. And if you don't know that song, I highly recommend you look it up and see if you can get a minute in without laughing.
Okay.
Whoa, what is that from?
Amelia Perez,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
the Oscar villain of the year, with the exception of the brutalist AI stuff, but wasn't sure how much we wanted to get into that.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm guessing that one of these Amelia Perez songs probably went. I'm hoping for the journey from Six Triple A because it's a Netflix movie about World War II African American nurses, I believe. Um. I hope that wins or Sing Sing, but I have a funny feeling that it's going to be one of these Amelia Perez songs. Okay. Let's go down to um adapted. Let's do adapted screenplay. Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. Um, I'm
Conclave.
I'm hoping that Conclave will do it. Or Sing Sing. I've heard very good things about Sing Sing, so I'd like to see Sing Sing, but I just don't know. Like adapted screenplay for like a biopic, it seems just like a cop out. Like you're adapting somebody's life. Like that kind of writes itself, doesn't it?
There's a surprising amount of love for Complete Unknown, and it's got to be. I'm sure, Alex, you have the same demographic that keeps showing up for it for every single
Well,
show, only in the mornings.
when we had it, we're getting it back for
Come
the
on.
yeah, we are well, we're getting it back for the film series, but yeah, we don't have it anymore. But you are right. It That's why I think it's kind of like the not the underdog, but like unlikely, but probably likely because it's doing so. Like it's a commercial success in that reason, and so, but like for the category's sake, it doesn't technically do the assignment, but because of the commercial success, I think it might. That was going to be my prediction. I didn't watch it, but it's got enough steam where everybody seems to enjoy it. Anybody who knows about Dylan going into it, that's my prediction for that one. I but I have no idea. I've not seen any one of those movies, but that's the dark horse for me.
I'm actually thinking that you're onto something and you're wrong at the same time.
Oh, 100%. What you're
Yep.
saying is exactly right.
I think you're right about it being a dark horse. I think it's going to be that one that goes like 0 and 10 or 0 and 8. I think it has 8. I think it's gonna
Uh,
I think it's gonna walk home totally empty-handed because there's always one movie that has to win nothing, and it's the
Uh,
oh yeah, that was a good movie. That movie.
yeah. So okay.
I think maybe it sneaks with one thing, but I don't know what. I couldn't tell you what.
Mm,
I,
Original.
I actually think I know what it might be, but we'll get to that. But Alex, you're right. I mean, it could sneak in there for screenplay. It's popular enough.
I
Um,
just maybe.
so let's move on to original screenplay, which is for Nora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance. I think September 5 should be adapted screenplay too. Isn't that a real life situation?
Yep. But if it's not on paper,
Oh,
this
that's
is why
fair.
this is why the Golden Globes and the Oscars are both ridiculous.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
and talking about the worst September 5, maybe the worst release strategy of the year for these movies.
mhm.
But I think this was its only nomination.
Oh, wow.
Uh, I'm voting for Nora by a lot, but it'll probably be The Brutalist because it's 3.5 hours long and it's about an immigrant or something. It's got Oscar bait written all
I
over it.
I don't know. I don't know. For this one, like a real pain, I think is like what Alex is saying. I think real pain is probably like one of those dark horses where it's a very tight script, a tight script, and it does do a lot with um, with pain and loss and stuff like that and finding hope in different places. But yeah, like I thought A Real Pain was a good script. Um,
It's like
but
probably one of those that people haven't really heard of quite as much,
Hmm.
and it's such a dark horse enough that you think it's actually going to win. That actually like catapults it
Yeah.
into the front runner position. Like you got to pick a couple of what do you call it? Upsets here. So
Yeah.
that's a big potential upset, possibly.
Yeah. Let me see here. So I was looking for our next. Ah, there it is. Okay, so our next one is animated film, which is Flow, Inside Out, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. Um, as history has shown, it's usually like the Golden Globe winner, which was Flow, but I haven't seen Flow or Memoir of a Snail or Wallace and Gromit, to be honest with you.
I
I've
saw
seen it.
2 out of 3.
Yeah,
I, I didn't really like Flow that much.
really?
It's cool that it's made in Blender, but it's an uncanny look that's difficult to get used to. It just kind of looks untextured, which, they made it in Blender. That's pretty incredible. But like, I don't know. It's a cute movie. I'm glad it's nominated. Um, I'm not really sure what the point of the movie was. It's just kind of a bunch of animals in a boat surviving together. And I thought Wild Robot had a really great story.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
Uh,
I think Wild Robot probably has the most steam, but that's probably also us just like hoping that's the case.
mhm.
Um, I mean that's my guess, but I could easily see that not being the case. Like kind of Clint said, Golden Globe, and it just yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that Pixar has kind of fizzled out. So I'm gonna give the edge to the Wild Robot. I think it's as much as I liked Inside Out 2 better than Wild Robot. I just something tells me that Pixar is not the king that it used to be. Um, because remember the years like for years it was winning literally every year it was winning.
Yeah.
Okay, so actress in a sporting role, we got Monica Barbaro for Complete Unknown. Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Um, I don't know why, but my prediction is Isabella Rossellini, even though she's in the movie for 2.5 minutes.
It- yeah, I was gonna say I saw that. When did that like? It was around election time, and I
Hmm.
remember her very little in that movie. So when you just said that, I was like, I mean, okay, sure. I mean, I can't really weigh in on this. I have no clue who it could be, but I'm like, not that she was bad in it. There's just not much screen time for her, so it just doesn't make much sense.
I do feel like the Academy has to give like some sort of time limit on this because like Judi Dench won for Shakespeare in Love, and she was in that movie for literally 2 minutes and like 15 seconds. And
Hmm.
it's like, really? Like, okay, I don't know.
I do. Their time limit this year is an actress who is in most of the movie, who has been steamrolling this award ceremony, but was put in supporting for some reason. Zoe Saldana has it in the bag. I will put my
Really?
put my money on it as much as I want anybody else on this list to win. Specifically Ariana Grande, actually. Um,
Yeah, she was good.
so she's amazing.
Amazing.
Maybe it's just like I think she just made that movie for me, so that's just what
Hmm.
I think about. But I think it's a fairly underwhelming list this year.
Yeah.
Like I've heard Monica Barbaro's like barely in like isn't really in that much of that movie, and Felicity Jones was like maybe on the outside and was maybe going to get a nod here, and I'm like it's just going to be Zoe Saldana because she picked up the Golden Globe and she's picked up like the Screen Actors Guild or something. And it's that Steamroll Award this year, I think.
Oh, all right. Actress in a leading role. So we have Cynthia Arevio. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I'm very sorry. I mispronounced it. Carlos Sofia Galson, Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. Haven't seen that movie, but I've heard it's really good. I haven't seen Amelia Perez. I started it, but I was like, I don't know if I'm into this right now. Um, I personally would give the edge to Demi Moore, specifically for the subject matter. Um, but that's a hard one too because it's like I don't know if she's in it more than Margaret Qualley is. So I don't know. And Cynthia Rivera was very good in Wicked. I think that she did it very good as Elphaba. Um, but I'm gonna have and Mikey Madison, like I mean, if you're giving awards for being a stripper, like she's got it in the bag. But like I don't know. I don't know. I'm with Demi Moore. I'm gonna predict Demi Moore. I don't know.
It's not my pick, but I'm going to agree with you.
I think he's right on the money. Like I have no clue, but like I think I'm in the same, and this is without me seeing Anora. I think you're right. I do think, yeah, Demi Moore has definitely enough in there to like screen time and all. So I think you're right. I think your prediction's like really like on the nail.
I just have this feeling that it's going to be Michael Keaton Birdman all over again, where it's like he made this, it's a good movie, don't get me wrong, and he did a very good performance, but it was like his coming of like he was like his welcoming back kind of party where it was like he won an Oscar, he never won an Oscar before, except for this like this graced actor that was doing his best character, which is an allegory for Batman. And this for Demi Moore is about an aging actress that wants to feel young and like relevant again. And I just think that it's the same thing. I think she just has it in the bag for this.
Except maybe
So
she'll win.
yeah.
Because, yeah, I wanted Michael Keaton to win. Silly,
Uh,
silly Eddie Redmayne, he was also very good.
mm, yeah. Um, okay. So we're moving on to actor in a supporting role. So this is for Yar Borisov. Oh, Borisov. He's a Russian guy. I'm sorry. I apologize. I can't pronounce your name. Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. I'm rooting for Kieran. Sorry.
I agree.
Alex, if you really haven't seen the movie, it's a good movie. Like it's on Hulu right now.
I,
So
I I was gonna say I have not seen any one of these.
yeah. I
I mean,
watched A Real Pain.
he is the best thing about it. And I mean,
Hmm.
when you really like are carrying that movie to its acclaim,
Hmm.
they're usually pretty awarding of that. And this is a strong lineup of actors, but I've seen a lot of Edward Norton in Complete Unknown. He's really good, but uh, Clint, I agree. I think Karen Culkin's probably got it.
Hmm. All right. Second to last is actor. We got Adrian Brody, Timothy Chalamet, Dolman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. Um, my hope is that Coleman Domingo gets it because I don't know, I liked Ralph Fiennes in Conclave, but like Ralph Fiennes is everything, but I think it's going to go to Adrian Brody. Like Nikki Glazer said, is two-time Holocaust survivor. Like how can you beat that twice? So,
It's a good lineup, and
mhm.
I think Adrian Brody, Ray Fiennes, and Timothy Chalamet are probably the three front runners. I think Coleman Domingo. I've heard he's absolutely fantastic. Often they really seem to take in mind like how much they love the movie, and it seems like between the release schedule and the nominations, the Oscars didn't like Sing Sing enough,
Yeah.
unfortunately. but I really want Ray Fiennes to win. I thought he was a
Hmm.
fantastic reserve performance.
Hmm.
Alex, I could see your dark horse argument pulling Timmy Chalamet a win here between two veteran actors and giving it to the newbie instead. Um, but Clint, I agree with you yet again. I think I think Adrian Brody's been building up steam. This AI controversy, yeah, it's not going to affect the voting because the voting's already done. So,
Yeah.
you know, unless he gets off on stage and hits somebody.
Let's hope not.
Um, I've similar to some of the other categories. I've really only seen Conclave in there, so Ralph Fiennes is decent in that. I, I don't think he would win. I mean, because it's a decent performance. Does it blow away? I think it's just because it's not a flashy movie. I know they're not looking for flashy, so it doesn't really like. It kind of like he's just going about his day, kind of just deal. He's doing his job. If I were to guess, I want to see The Brutalist, and I plan on seeing it sometime probably before our next video. Um, but I'm gonna say Adrian Brody. I don't know why. I have a good feeling about that. And I it gives me so because what was uh not Robert Downey Jr. Well, actually, he's involved in the conversation. Robert De Niro lost out to Robert Downey Jr. for supporting actor, and I think The Brutalist gives me just by name alone and by runtime same vibes as Killers of the Flower Moon. So I think Brody's going to make up for what Killers of the Flower Moon didn't win last year, if all of that makes sense. So I think I just have a feeling I'm going to go with that. And, maybe my tune will change as I see it. I'm like, okay, this is not that great, but, this is just going purely off of feeling and nothing more.
There is possibly some evidence against Ray Fiennes winning this year in our favor. Since Casey Affleck beat Denzel Washington, they've been kind of flip flopping the conservative performance or the outgoing performance, like Alex said, like a flashy performance or a grounded performance. Last year,
Grounded. Thank you.
Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, grounded performance. Year before that, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, outgoing performance. Year before that, Will Smith for King Richard, grounded performance. So by this track record, it's got to be one of the more outgoing ones. I'd say 3.5 hours with a Turkish accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, Ralph. Sorry, Ralph. Okay. Sorry, this is the second to last one. Directing. So we got Sean Baker for Nora, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, James Mangold for Complete Unknown, Jacques Eddard for Emilia Perez, and Corley Fargay. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Again, I apologize for The Substance. What I want to see is Corley for The Substance because I think that she did an amazing job with the comparisons and the inspirations from Lost Highway and The Shining and things like that. And just I don't know, like we said, it's an experience of a movie. Let's just say that. Jacques Sinard, he's a French director doing a movie about Mexican cartels. I just don't think that it's like, but going along with everything like The Brutalist and everything kind of gaining up speed, I think it's going to be Bradley Corbett. Just
This is yet again in category where I've only seen the one, and evidently that was it was very, very recent too. Corley, I I'm gonna agree with you, Clint, mainly because like, do I like the substance? That's such a loaded question. I don't know, but direction. This is like I think what Challengers is what Ryan is talking about, where it's supposed to make you feel certain way, like an uncomfortableness, and I get it here. I don't know why I don't get it with that movie, but I get it here. And this movie, Substance, is a very like this is not supposed to make you
This
feel
hurts to
like,
hear.
yeah, I know, right? I don't know why. I don't know why, but this is like I told Ashley that like if you use this as like a rehab, like some type of like tool to like get people off drugs or somebody who's on the verge of substance abuse, I personally I think this would scare people straight because this is like very graphic, very up close. Even the parts that aren't dealing with like bodily anything, like there are scenes that are just like gross and they're so up close. And I remember texting you guys going, "Why is the camera so close to everybody's face?" But later on, I'm like, I get it. It's really uncomfortable. It's really, and I'm like, I think the movie flourishes more because of that. And it's such a hard sell because of the nature of the movie. I don't know. That's I could see her winning, and I wouldn't be surprised. But like at the same time, I'm like, it's such a I not dare I say niche kind of movie. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't compare because I have no idea with the other ones. I think the only one that James Mangold, he's been around for a while, and I think a complete unknown. It's a biopic. It's because, like we've been saying a little bit before, it's a little bit like you've seen one, you've seen them all. So I don't know if it has enough steam on that alone to like really super compete. So my personal opinion is that is it's really just down to four, and that unfortunately is out of there. Not because it's bad. I don't know.
But if I
I don't know.
remember correctly, he's won one already, hasn't he?
I wouldn't know what it's for.
Literally the same thing. I know I sound like aggressive about that, but it's like he directed Walk the Line, which is
Oh yeah,
about
yeah,
Johnny
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cash.
He did.
Hmm.
I
So
forgot about
like
that.
that's why
He's
I don't
been
like
he's been nominated 5 times, but was
okay.
not nominated for directing for Walk the Line.
Oh
In
wow.
fact,
Okay,
he
never mind this.
personally wasn't nominated for the movie Walk the Line. He wasn't nominated until the screenplay credit for Logan in 2018. I am now rooting
Wow.
for him.
Huh.
Okay. Well, then yeah, I can't really say anything. So never mind.
I
Scratch what I
agree.
said.
I
Yeah,
agree with
I actually thought
Ryan,
so too.
but
Yeah.
I stick with my statement. I agree with Ryan. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm rooting for him a little bit more, but I personally think that all that factors into it's like sorry, maybe next time, maybe eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see happen here.
What's that?
Heh.
They give it to Denis Villeneuve anyway, even though he's not here because he
Yeah,
wasn't here
right.
for the first Dune. So clearly they don't like him. What more does he have to do?
I know. He's such a good director too.
Did
Oh,
did he win ever like
Uh,
for what is
no,
it, 2049?
uh,
Huh.
I don't think he personally was nominated for 2049.
hmm,
Hmm.
I don't
I don't think so.
think he's ever been nominated.
It's very, very
Now,
surprising
I'll look that up
because
to confirm. He's been nominated for. He was nominated for directing for Arrival.
Oh, yeah.
huh, hmm,
Yeah, that's right.
interesting.
It's a
Okay.
very good movie, by the way. Okay, so let's move on to Best Picture because there's 10 of these things. I'm not really sure why there's 10 of them, but whatever.
It's about five
Um,
too many, if you ask me.
oh yeah, completely. We have Honora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, Substance, and Wicked. If I had to take a guess, it's either going to be one of the first two that I mentioned, Honora, The Brutalist. I think The Substance is going to be a dark horse, especially because of its the subject matter. I think I will riot if it's Amelia Perez because I've heard that's not a very good movie.
Let's get that right. You're ready, Clint.
Um, I think a complete unknown again, like biopic, musical biopic is just easy. Like I think that's just an easy button. Conclave, I think is just maybe the ending is just a little too controversial for people. A good movie, don't get me wrong. Um, Dune Part Two, I know you guys are gonna string me up for this, but I just the sequel is not really a
Not a
sequel,
chance.
but yeah,
Yeah, agreed.
I just don't think it's gonna happen. Wicked probably has a good chance, because it's a musical, but it's still like it's flawed a little bit. And I'm Still Here is also is like Parasite. It's also in international film, so If it wins international film, I'll be very, very surprised if it wins Best Picture as well. It's like Parasite. So I think it's a two horse race, and I think it's a Nora and the Brutalist.
You know, I think I'm going to agree with you. I've only seen one, two, three, four of these films, and I think like Dune is my favorite of them. But like I think we're all pretty in unison here. It just has no chance. It's a sequel. It didn't have a chance really. I mean, it had a chance the previous year it was in, but it's a sequel, so it doesn't have a chance. Wicked is like my opinion probably going to be the people's choice of like that is the movie of last year, but it doesn't fit the profile of an Oscar winner, if that makes sense. Like it's an absolute commercial success. It's actually a decent production. It's a good the songs are great. They don't like mess anything up really, and it flows pretty good for being the runtime it is. It just doesn't fit the profile of like kind of a low key like production where it's a little bit more of not to say that Wicked is style over substance,
No,
but
Alex, you're right.
yeah.
No movie like this has won since Chicago.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. I don't think this is gonna buck that trend. So I think Clint's right. Based on what you guys have told me, I think Anora might win it. I don't, it's really a complete toss up in this list that I'm just general word of mouth, kind of deal. I'm gonna go with Anora because or it's I'm gonna go with Anora or I'm gonna go with like where they're gonna have a riot and that Amelia Perez will just because I don't know why. I don't know. It's just gonna be one of those that nobody really liked it, but it's gonna win anyway. So that's my prediction. It's gonna be one of those two.
Yeah.
So
I think I've got it down to four realistic options in my mind. Honora was the front runner going into Oscar season, which is great,
Mhm.
except for that The Brutalist was the front runner coming out of Oscar season.
hmm.
Those two films have the same buzz coming in and out. And
Mhm.
oftentimes they cancel each other out. People can't pick. I actually think Wicked has a decent shot for the same reasons Alex said it does, or that it doesn't, basically, where it's not the typical pick right now, and maybe
Hmm.
they want to go a little classier. Wicked would take this home easy if it were released in, 1955, something like that. Not maybe
Yeah.
not as is, but you know, um, but there's always a thing where it's like you have to pick up a supporting acting category, supporting acting win to win Best Picture for some reason. It's not a real pain, but I think it's going to be Zoe Saldana, and I think they're going to give it to Amelia Perez because the Academy voting picks that third or fourth on the list that everybody has picked, and not their number one and two when there's not enough votes to categorize their one and two. And for some reason, every freaking Oscar voter in the world loves this movie, even though 30% of audiences on Rotten Tomatoes like it.
Yeah, it's weird.
So I really don't want to pick this as my prediction, but I'm going to pick Amelia Perez as my prediction. Um,
Yeah. I don't
but I'm
know.
rooting for anything else. Nickel Boys,
Yeah.
I'm here for you. But
Yeah,
Clint,
right?
what you said too, I think Amelia Perez is going to beat um, uh, I'm Still Here for international feature, and that will probably lock it, just like
Yeah.
Parasite.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, I forgot that Amelia Perez was
Yeah.
international too. All right. Well, that's the Oscars. Yay. Cool.
Little
All right.
flags. You can't see
I'm
them
just
because
Yay.
realizing, Ryan, that you and I are both wearing.
what?
I just realized that. Clint, where's yours? Where's your Legend of Zelda? I mean,
I
Yeah,
don't
Clint.
have
it is
one.
the year where we will be getting a Nintendo Switch 2. So
You guys didn't send me one. I'm sorry.
I've got
Um,
one.
so let's do this real quick because I know that we have another movie we have a couple movies to talk about. So let's go through our most anticipated real quick. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna read off mine real quick because I pulled this up on Variety, and most of my movies are on here. So here you go. This is no particular order, except I will say that Superman is my number one. So I'm just gonna get that out of the way. I'm sorry that Ryan doesn't care about DC, apparently.
There's the face. There's the face.
But I will say that Paddington in Peru, um, Alex, I'm still waiting for you to watch the second one.
I know. I have to
Um,
borrow Ryan's account.
yeah. Mickey 17, I'm excited about that. Let's see, my browser just froze for some reason. That's not fun. I know Thunderbolts is on there, wherever it's decided to go. Um, Technical difficulties right now. So Paddington,
Pay no
Peru, Mickey
attention.
17. Yeah, it's behind the curtain. Don't pay attention. Um, Sinners looks really good. I just watched the new trailer. That does look really good with Ryan Coogler directing and Michael B. Jordan. Thunderbolts in May. Obviously, a Mission Impossible movie. I can't wait for that one. I'm not so excited about Lilo and Stitch. That's one of my favorite Disney movies. I'm kind of tired of these like re live action. Ballerina. Completely forgot this movie was even like.
Yep.
Oh shoot! I
Uh,
didn't put that on my list.
I put it on
uh,
mine.
how could you?
I'll retroactively put it on there instead of.
Yeah.
Definitely not looking forward to Megan 2.0. I'm not.
Mathregan.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Jurassic World Rebirth either. Like, can we stay off of this island? Like, seriously, people. Um, Superman, July 11th, and definitely that is my number one. Let's see, Fantastic Four First Steps in July as well. Very excited about that. Let's see. I think that's about it. Um, Not sure about Michael. Tron Ares, if they would have casted anybody else but Jared Leto, I probably would have been higher on my list. Predator Badlands. I'm not sure if this is coming to Hulu or if it's actually coming to theaters. I'm hoping it's coming to theaters because Price should have been in theaters. And I know that um, I'm not even excited for Avatar either.
Hmm.
It's like, who cares? But I do know that, like Ryan, you did say that um, Guillermo del Toro had a Frankenstein movie coming out this year, and I'm quite excited about that because Guillermo del Toro can do no wrong, actually. So
Sure.
here you go. What about you guys?
Uh, Ryan, do you want to do yours first, or you want me to go next?
Sure. Yeah, I'll run through.
Oh,
So, uh, I really, really like Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And I'm hoping this is a return to form with Brave New World here. Plus, I really like the new poster. I don't know. So, looking forward to that one. I think it's probably gonna not do well. Uh, Mickey 17, I'm very excited for. If I could pick a number one right now, that'd probably be a good runner-up for a number one. A24's Death of Unicorn. Very excited
mhm.
for that kind of dark comedy. Uh, yeah, Ballerina officially on totally was on my list before. Definitely didn't forget to leave out a John Wick spinoff.
We know.
28 years later, probably my number one this year. I have Danny Boyle and the that writer Alex Garland.
Alex
I
Garland,
mean,
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm so excited for this movie. I didn't even expect to be so excited for this movie. I think it's a perfect trailer. Great marketing so far. Love the poster stuff. I love the idea that they're just going to roll out a couple of these. Very excited about that one. Megan 2.0. I don't know. I like the idea of a. I liked the first one, and I'm like, just do whatever you want with the second one. Uh, I was scraping the barrel here, bottom of the barrel. I don't really love this year's lineup. Um, so The Bride and Frankenstein. We're getting two Frankenstein movies, one from Maggie Gyllenhaal set in the 1930s and a traditional adaptation. So they can share a spot. I like the idea of some very different monster movies. Uh, Better to Badlands sounds good to me. And Avatar because it's still great, and the last one was great, and the first one was great, and this one's gonna be great.
Because reasons.
So, you know, unless it gets pushed back a year.
Is it,
Yeah, right. Nah, nah. They're probably they finished filming this like 3 years
10
ago.
years ago.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
10
forgot. I forgot they did them like back to back to back to back. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're working probably on five right now.
Like, I mean,
probably.
there are like hundreds of better movies than the second Avatar, but there are like mostly worse movies than the second Avatar. I feel like on a scale of movies, and it's like it's a good story. It's not amazing. It's like how often do you get a movie where it's like, hey, this is a decent story, and also it's got a lot of action, and I'm laughing a little bit. It's got some family drama. It's visually stunning. It's got a good score. It's like we just get them like once every couple years, and Denis and James Cameron have been treating us with some of
Hmm.
these movies lately. So I'm riding the Avatar train all the way.
Well, that's it. That is in my. I was gonna do it in no particular order, but I ended up doing like an honorable mentions, and then I did a top five. So in no particular order, my honorable, like which ones I have some interest in at least. Um, Avatar. I love the first one. I think that's really good, especially the ending. Number two definitely was too long because of it. Just it didn't need be nearly that long, but it's still a decent movie, very good. Um, I'm decently excited for the second Wicked. I'm not excited for the season that it will bring, but I will definitely watch it.
Put
I
in your time off
enjoyed it.
request now, Alex.
Yeah, right. I know. I know. We got to start making their popcorns now so we get them out in time.
Oh gosh.
Um, but so that's on there. Paddington 3, even though I still have to watch 2, I know I'm gonna like it. The first one's very cute. I just know I'll like the second one. Um, I'm surprised neither of you said Black Phone, sequel to Black Phone. I am actually looking forward to that. I like Black Phone. I just was like, I need more of Black Phone. Like, I needed more backstory. Like, that's the one thing really that was missing in that movie to me. So I'm like, all right, let's. I think this is more of a prequel though, but I don't know. I don't remember, but I am excited for that. And then Nobody too. Like Nobody, um, at least that's what I saw was on here. I don't remember being announced officially, but it has it for mid-August. So I was like, okay, I'll throw it in there. Bob Odenkirk, solid, really fun. It's like a just kind of like a silly John Wickish kind of movie. Um, I don't know how I feel about Fantastic Four, Clint. I'm like, I'm nervous for it. I really am nervous. I want it to be good. Hello, little kitty. Hi. And I'm the new star of the video.
Sorry, it's my cat.
It
It's
said
trying to go
Fantastic
crazy.
Four, say more.
Yeah, right.
Um, I'm cautiously just nervous for that movie. Like this is where like it's a huge thing. Like I mean, we've gotten really like not great Fantastic Four movies recently, and so it makes me nervous. So, but I will obviously be seeing it. Sinners, I too think looks interesting. Um, so that's really all I'll say about that. It looks interesting. I'll be catching that. Death of a Unicorn has my attention enough because that's Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd, right? Yeah, so
Yeah,
that looks interesting. I have no idea why
and
this one's
Parker Posey.
I'm like, huh?
And Parker Posey, I thought, too, right?
Uh your guess is as good as mine, probably, but I'm not sure.
Let's look that up.
But that's on there. I will definitely be seeing it when it comes out. I think in April. But regardless.
Good.
Um I don't know why this one's on there. F1, the Brad Pitt, F1 movie, the race car movie.
Oh yeah.
I
Huh.
have some
Oh,
suspicion that that'll. that'll do okay. I don't know why. I'm not a I'm not like a NASCAR or any kind of that venue kind of guy, but I don't know. I'm just like I'm hopeful for that. Um,
But like Jack
so
directed Maverick, so it's gonna at least look great, right?
yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, that hopefully that's transferable. So my five most anticipated, and I kind of did these more as like a default kind of thing. I'm like, I really am not that crazy about this year's lineup. I went through and I was like, I'm really only excited for like two movies. And so going from least to highest, um, I will be interested in watching the Lilo and Stitch live action. We know they've done them too many. I know, but I'm hopeful that it's cute enough where I'm like, okay, Disney, you have my money again. Okay, sure. Um, Novocaine. I don't know why. That looks decently interesting. I think that that's going to be a much better version for me personally. Than what was the one movie with Skarsgård in it that was very similar? It's very
Kills World.
oh, Boy Kills World. Yes, I think it's similar to that, but I have a better feeling that I'll like this more because I don't know why. I think Jack Quaid is like charismatic and he's a good actor to just want to watch. I think he's turned out like good productions, and I think he's just a generally good actor. So I think all that tied in, that makes me want to see it. Ballerina, definitely. And I more recently caught the trailer. I hadn't actually watched it and since since it came out until like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, okay, I generally like this. This is pretty cool. My number two is, and I know another remake, a live action remake, but I love How to Train Your Dragon. I want this to do good. It doesn't make sense for it to do good other than the fact of name alone. But and that Toothless looks pretty much identical to his animation style. I just hope it does well. I'm going to see it regardless. I'm going to see it very early on, so you can't stop me. I'm going to watch it. And then my number one, similar to Clint's, is Superman. I really, really want that to do well. I want James Gunn to get this started on the right foot, and I love the trailer. I've watched it probably about 7 times just to kind of see if I can catch something new every time, and I'm very optimistic about it. So and I hope it has very good merchandise for it. So
Yeah.
so that is what I'm looking forward to this year.
Sweet. Okay. Um, all good lists. All good lists. So let's talk. Have you guys quickly go over flight risk?
Oh yeah,
And
we
then
can go over
Ryan,
that pretty quickly.
okay. And then Ryan and I can kind of talk about presents. So yeah, Alex, take it away.
Yeah, so flight risk is about a witness to a certain crime, series of crimes. That's more of my review later on in just a second. That is supposed to be transported in order to testify against uh said crime lord, whatever. And Mark Wahlberg is their pilot, and turns out he's not so nice, and he's not actually maybe a pilot. And action and craziness ensues, pretty generally speaking. I'm just gonna go ahead and knock out my review. This movie doesn't remember its own plot pretty much the entire time.
That is
Um,
true.
yes, it doesn't remember what it was doing just about 10 minutes ago. And I'm starting off with a negative, but a positive actually is that Topher Grace is actually pretty solid in this. He's easily the best part in my opinion. And like for the first, I'd say 20 minutes, it felt like a comedy to me. Like it didn't feel like a thriller action kind of deal. I was like, why is he so funny?
But Alex, is that a good thing for an action crime
Oh,
drama thriller?
it is not. It is not. That is why this is a two-sided coin. I'm just saying, if I'm trying to get some little good nugget out of this movie, there you
That's
go.
fair. That's fair. I'll withdraw. I'll withdraw. You continue. Don't let me interrupt you.
But like, and I don't know how many times I could take. And I like Mark Wahlberg. He's a good actor. I have nothing against him. I just don't know how much I could have taken any more of his country accent going, oh, that's just this, that's just that, that's just this, that's just that. And I was like, if you say that's just something one more time, I'm going to take my drink and I'm going to throw it through the screen. I hated every second of when he was doing that. And it was cheesy. It was again, the plot didn't remember where it was. And the last 10 minutes of this movie, one of the weirdest sequences of filmmaking I've ever seen. And it's just like, it's not even for the plot. There is no plot. The plot is not, continuous. It's not constant. It doesn't match all the time. And it just is like, so, and then it's like, there are parts in this movie where it's like they take like, oh man, there's a bad guy in here. What is he gonna do? Oh, it's because it's about money. It's about like, like it's almost a cliche kind of like what the reveal is, and it's just like, come on. And there's just so nonsensical, dumb parts of this, which is a lot of the movie.
I think about I'll just let you finish.
I'm pretty much there. This is not really a good movie. As I'm like spiraling into this like negative thing about it, I wanted to really like this. I mean, that's kind of strong. I wanted to enjoy this, and I did not totally. It just was like, okay, and it's a Mel Gibson direction, and this is definitely a misstep for him. I was struggling between whether or not I liked Wolfman more than this. And because I've pooped on this one so much, I'm like, I think I'm going to go ahead and say that Wolfman triumphs. Um, this deserves no better than a 5 on its best day. So I'm going to stick with a 5 on this. And I want Clint to watch just so he can tell me I'm right. That's kind of the only incentive for me to push this movie. But
Fun to be
Ryan,
on my side.
please tell me how I'm right, or just keep going with my pooping on it.
Alex, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this, okay? I'm looking forward to this. That's pretty much what Mark Wahlberg does for the second half of the movie, is he sits there and says, I'm looking forward to this. I'm gonna enjoy this. I get it. You're crazy. Uh it's the worst
Yeah.
performance I've seen from Mark Wahlberg since The Happening. Um, and it's because Alex, you got it, and it's going to be my entire campaign. This movie has no idea what it even is about. I
Yeah.
and so the positives. Now I do this every once in a while, and it's always in January. The positives. Topher Grace is actually he's got some good singers. Um, the plot, the plot, the setup is pretty interesting. And when they're setting up the setup, there's like this 10 minutes on this plane where it's kind of a little bit of tension building. And I was like, yeah, yeah, all right. Like I'm getting into it. Like, I like the back and forth and the headphones and sound and who's the looks and the accent and stuff like that. And boy, does that is all that movie had to exist. And that is, I think, over by the 20-minute mark. Uh, After that, it is Michelle Dockery trying to land a plane while some really weird guy flirts with her over a radio that works. And Mark Wahlberg every once in a while jumps up in the front, and then they beat him back for an hour and 10 minutes after the movie gets going. That is it. I cannot emphasize this enough. There's nothing else that happens in the movie. Then they fly a plane and they land it. And nothing else actually happens in the movie. There's some like oh no, her boss is corrupt. Doesn't really, we never cut to, we never go there. There's a one little moment at the end. Never has anything to do with, other than the fact that we're watching her fly a plane and she's on the phone. The moment she gets internet service, the entire movie is complete crap with no tension whatsoever. Okay, I'm going out of order here, but simply put, I actually thought going into this that it was the weirdest marketing gimmick ever. That this movie was hinging on a bald Mark Wahlberg. Now I know that's a big red flag because the movie has nothing else interesting going on other than the fact that Mark Wahlberg's bald. Um, so, Alex, I'm gonna just spend the rest of this on what you said earlier. There are so many versions of this script that are a good movie, and that's why I hate this movie. And you will hear this movie again at the end of this year. Um, I like I like the idea that this setup happened exactly the same, and they get on the plane, and then Mark Wahlberg's there. And here's how I actually think it happened. I think the writer wrote this movie. I think they were like, okay, so we got this guy. They capture him. He's going to be a witness. They take off. The pilot's an assassin, and then the pilot and them, and then they fight, and then they throw Mark Wahlberg out of the plane 30 minutes in, and we're like, what? And then we spend the next hour in a survival thriller in a plane with no communication from the outside world. And it's just this person and their criminal the two of them trying to figure it out together. I like that movie. Problem is, I think that writer wrote that movie, and then somebody said, "Yeah, but where's Mark Wahlberg for the rest?" And they were like, "Oh, he dies." And they were like, "No, no, we got Mark Wahlberg all of the movie." And he was like, "Okay, well." Then he wrote like a little bit in the middle, and then he put Mark Wahlberg, and I think he wrote the line, "Oh, I'm going to enjoy this," for every one of his lines, and
Yeah.
go back and change it because at the end he just keeps repeating the same thing, and then I'm gonna just spoil this, dude, if you guys don't mind. He
Yeah,
just gets
go
sucked
ahead.
out of a plane and run over by a fire truck. That's it. Oh, but she doesn't shoot him because she's better than him. You're literally a Fed. Shoot him.
Right?
Like, there's no reason. It's the worst excuse I've ever heard from a movie like this to not just kill him. And they have so many opportunities, but because it's Mark Wahlberg, he sits there on the back of the plane, slowly getting loose like three different times. He's like, I got
Oh
this.
my
Oh, I'm
gosh.
hiding it. Y'all need a pilot? What's that? Flight rules, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, these mountains. That's it. That's the movie right there. 3 out of
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
I hated it.
I like
Stupid,
us
Yeah.
there.
stupid movie.
Very good segment right there. No, Ryan, we both talked about it that the plot it's not consistent. It doesn't know what it is. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember them saying what the heck he's a witness for
No,
exactly. Like,
he's a bookie, basically.
yeah.
But
So
honestly, the movie would be more interesting saying less. It needs this Fed who had this person die on them at one time, and this guy who's likable but bad. And the two of them in a plane. Mark Wahlberg shows up for 30 minutes and he's out, and everybody is surprised, and everybody's talking about the fact that he's only in it for 30 minutes, even though he's on the poster. How much would we be talking about right now? We'd be like, oh, I don't want to spoil it. Instead, I'm like, freaking, he just gets run over because the worst
yeah.
CGI plane crash in history. Like,
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that because that is part of the 10 minutes of like this is nonsensical crap. I mean, besides the rest of the movie.
well,
Um,
you know they made that sequence a week before the release, right?
no,
I lied,
no,
but
I didn't know that.
I lied, but do you believe me?
I mean, I'd be shocked, but I'd believe
No,
you.
I'm just kidding. But
No, because it would have made sense because it is one of the crappiest like CGI like, and it's like it doesn't even almost make sense. Like I don't know how a plane actually is going to crash like in a simulated actual like real sense, but I'm like it's like tumbling and spiraling and this and that, and I'm like it's a little commercial plane. It's not going to do all that,
yeah.
and
Well, at
it's but
least
go ahead.
no, at least the guy on the radio was super helpful. She's like, "What now?" And he's like, "That's it. You're on your own." And he hangs up. And I'm like, "You're the worst. I hope you get fired."
Yeah, yeah, we that was one of the I thought was actually okay, even though he's kind of like weird, like, hey, we're gonna go on a date at 7 o'clock. I did kind of like that little part of the movie where he would like help her land it and talk her through and everything. It was like that was like a love hate thing. but that's besides the point. So they land the plane. He's stabbed in where somewhere just below his heart and like in his abdomen, and he's basically on 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 his deathbed. He's like dying, and the EMTs come in and they're like, "Oh man, I can't tell if this is a dying person or a sack of mail. Let's just pick him up, just jerk him, drag him out of the plane onto the gurney. Okay, whatever." So then they take him, and then she sees, and we are definitely in spoilers. So I mean, whoever's listening, you are in spoilers. Not that it matters. So they take him on the gurney. They take him over to the ambulance, and then she's talking with whoever it is that was, getting trying to get a date with her, talking her how to fly the plane and all. And all of a sudden, there's just some random dude that you have no idea who it is, except that he's a bad guy, only because there's ominous music playing, which is just like, how
Oh,
the heck?
he does that bad guy look too. He does that. I'm
Yeah,
walking towards the ambulance, menacingly, looking at the only character who knows who I am.
exactly. And it's like, if she were just a real person standing right there, how the heck would she know that he's some bad person other than, "Oh, I need to know this. I'm an FBI agent or whatever." And so he goes in the ambulance. She runs over, opens the door, and he's trying to suffocate Topher Grace. And she ends up shooting him a couple times. Boom, saves him. My question about that was, where are the other EMTs? How come he was all by himself in an ambulance after he's literally like greenish gray about to die? And they're like, "Hey man, we got to go on lunch break. You'll be okay.
Alex, the
We'll just
writers
sit
of
to
this movie don't know how EMTs work. They don't know how fuel works. They don't know that if you put on headphones in a plane, you can talk to each other. But if you take them off, you can also talk to each other, unless you're Mark Wahlberg trying to escape. They don't know how satellite phones work. They don't know how plot twists work. I mean,
But my problem with the movie is the very last shot. She saves him. Well, saves him. Whatever. She keeps him from getting killed by that guy. Takes back. And I'm like, okay. Then the camera switches from looking at them to you are viewing as if it were their point of view out of the back of the ambulance. And it's just a bunch of random firefighters and whoever just kind of going, just like standing around, just looking. And it's just like the
directed
most
by Mel Gibson.
most awkward shot I've ever seen. I don't know why that stands out to me so much, but I was just like, this is such a bizarre little 10-second shot. It felt like 30 minutes because of how awkward it was. That was the dumbest way to end this, what now just feels absolutely like a crap movie. Um, yeah, this is this is like a case of already bad milk that you got, and it's
Alex,
getting bad fast.
you made me think of something. I like how the movie is like again, I feel like it was the writer. I feel like the writer was like, all right, and then they're going to be running out of fuel to create a time pressure. And then another writer was like, oh, and then Mark Wahlberg's going to stab the guy to create a time pressure. And I'm like, yeah, definitely don't have a life or death time pressure going on right now. How would we know how much time we have to land if we didn't have someone dying, Mark Wahlberg trying to escape, and low fuel?
Oh man.
But
Oh,
hey, if you
okay.
hit a mountain going really fast in an airplane, you'll just fly through the snow of it.
Oh,
So no damage, no physics whatsoever. You just fly right
Not
through it.
not to linger on our talk of this movie even more, but there was another, like the very first where they have to subdue Mark Wahlberg, and
Oh,
so
they're
and the
chasing them
plane
for a
knows.
solid. Oh, the longest nosedive ever.
Yeah, it was. So there's that. Yes, it's one of the longest nosedives ever. And then when she finally like restrains him, Topher Grace has to tell her. He has to tell her that like, hey, look out. And like she has to be like, it felt like a Scooby Doo moment where she has to turn around, look that the plane is nosediving into about 200 feet away from snow, and she has to be like, oh, rut-row,
It's
zoinks,
like
and then yeah, yeah, and then I'm like, shouldn't you just feel that the plane is going down. Somebody shouldn't have to tell you that. Get
She was
over there.
engaging Mark Wahlberg for 30 solid seconds straight.
Oh, this movie so dumb. Probably gonna just say a 4 now. Gosh, if that come to
Feet
the
on your
dark
wish
side.
list, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh, it's there. It's definitely on there. It's number one so far in that regard. So, but yeah, that was flight risk. It's also a risk watching the movie.
Yes. All right. Well then, Ryan, you want to talk us about presents? You and I can talk about presents. Give us a
Sounds good.
little. Go right ahead, sir. What is this movie about?
Presence is not a horror film.
It is not.
It is very much, I would say, a domestic drama told through the eyes of a ghost haunting a house. It follows a family who just moves in, and they're having some very interesting issues in their personal lives, and also there's a ghost in the house. Just a very fly on the wall at first presence, so to speak, chilling with the
Mhm.
family as they go through these series of, you know, yeah, it's a domestic drama. It's got some psychological horror elements to
Yeah.
it. I jumped once, but I want to emphasize that no matter what we say about this movie, if you go into it expecting a horror film, you will come out not liking it.
Yeah. Completely agree. Ryan, before you give your review, I want to emphasize on this because the funny thing is when I was put on the movie because I we'll just say I watched the movie in a different way. So when I was watching the movie, Quinn, my 11-year-old, I was like, "Hey, kind of being funny. Do you want to watch a horror movie?" And she's like, "No, I don't really want to watch a horror movie. I'm not like I'm gonna get scared." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Okay, cool." This movie is hour and 25, 26 minutes, something along those lines. I don't think there was a horror element in this movie, except for it being the subgenre of a haunting movie.
I think there was one. I think there was one. I may be getting ahead of myself. There's a moment where somebody sees like a stack of books and they react, and the reaction felt so genuine that I jumped. But that's just good acting.
Yeah. So go ahead, Ryan. What's your review?
If you've seen the David Lowery 2017 film A Ghost Story, this film is for you. You haven't seen the 2017 David Lowery film A Ghost Story, and you want to watch a drama where Casey Affleck walks around a house slowly in a bedsheet, and Kate Mara sits on the kitchen floor and eats a pie. It is a good movie, but it is not for everybody. And if you've seen the 2017 David Lowery film Ghost Story and you're like, this is stupid, why are we watching Kate Mara sit on the floor and eat an entire pie? You're not wrong, and you'll hate this movie. Um, I enjoyed it. I thought it was all right. I'm mixed on Soderbergh overall, and I like the idea of this story of this movie. I have one big thing that's keeping it from a solid movie for me. And in fact, it Alex has got me kind of thinking. I This is my favorite movie of the year so far. I think I liked it slightly more than Wolfman. I think it was a little more unique. It stuck with me a little bit more. My biggest thing, it's really well acted. And this movie would be such a dud if it weren't well acted. Every
Mm.
time I think back on it, and I'm like, wow, that performance was really good. And there's one little bit in the movie, and it has such a short amount of time to sell a concept. And if we talk spoilers, I'll explain. And the performer in the movie, because even I don't even want to say like what the setup for it is or who it is because I don't want to spoil. Going into the movie as an audience, you'll not be able to figure it out. But they have one bit basically where they get to react to something, and that's 110% so good. I absolutely believe that reaction. It's really great. Um, for what it is, the high frame rate and everything, I think it's really well shot. I think it looks good. I never had trouble really getting into it. In fact, there were times where I forgot that we were the ghost. I was like, wow, this is a good drama. In fact, it almost felt like it was written as drama first sometimes. And I like the story. It's weird that they spend a lot of time on some threads that don't really go anywhere story wise. Like the plot points, the beat structure, well, I guess it's more the plot points. It doesn't wrap everything up, but from the perspective that we, the audience, I get it. But it's a little interesting that it chose to do that. And the editing. Oh gosh, I hated the editing. That was my other big takeaway. Like I like the score. That was another thing, but I don't know who decided that they were going to
Yeah.
like stop cutting to black every 5 minutes. I've done something here. Just it really drove me nuts. And I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because as much as I enjoyed the movie, the other thing I kept thinking about was how obnoxious the cuts to black were. It felt so, I don't want to say like I'm trash and Soderbergh. It really felt like an amateur decision. Like I competed once and we did a 40-hour film project. We couldn't decide how we wanted to transition. And do you know what we did? We
To
just cut
black.
to black for 3 seconds and then we cut back to the next scene because we didn't know what else to do. And that was just a bunch of us in the rain making a little movie in a weekend. Apparently, he shot this movie in a week, so maybe it's not a stretch to make that comparison. But that was interesting. On a side note, I really like the main poster for the film, so
Yeah.
I'm talking myself into liking it more, so I can put the poster up. But I had been decided between Flight Risk and this, and I felt there was a chance I could throw my Flight Risk poster. So,
Awesome.
but
Um, I I dug this movie. I watched bits and pieces of A Ghost Story, so I kind of understood what was going on. I did think that the point of view was done really well. I also kind of got annoyed with the editing as well because, but I think it's because like they do these great like single take shots throughout the movie. And I was like, okay, cool. We're gonna kind of like stick with this. But there's a lot of them that are that are extensive. They're extensive one single shot like sequences. And I'm like, okay, so is this gonna be like Birdman where we're gonna like do this? But they kept like going through it and then they would stop it. And then it was just like, oh, okay. But it wasn't like a transition into like a different scene. It was almost like the presence was just like, I'm done. And then they kind of stopped. So yes, the editing for me was a little jarring in places. It is very well acted. I'm very surprised of the teenagers that they cast. I I don't have their names up right now. Um, Lucy Liu does a very good job as well. I'm also kind of like Soderbergh for me is hit or miss. Like this one, I won't say is a miss, but I did like Kimmy a lot more than like a lot of different people, and that came out during COVID. Thought that was a very good movie with Zoe Kravitz. But then there's like his other movies that are just kind of like okay, they're a little weird. I don't know. There's not really much to like Ryan said. I kind of gave this a 7. Just because with those plot holes that are those threads that Ryan was talking about, I kind of started thinking back on them and I was like, so there's certain sequence of events and certain family dramas that they're talking about that don't make sense until the end. And once you get towards the end, then you kind of like when you start to question why they were even talk about some of the family drama between Lucy Liu and the husband, and then you get to the end and you realize what is going on when it's revealed who the presence is, and you're like, oh, okay. So this is why they were talking about this, and this is why this was set up this way, and everything else. So yes, there are certain threads that are just kind of thrown out there, but there are certain sequences that if unless you're paying attention to what they're talking about and then why like certain things happened in the climax of the movie that don't make sense until you actually get to the climax of the movie and you kind of start to rethink about what happened. So I give this a 7. It is definitely the best movie of the year so far, even though we're 3 weeks into it's like 3 weeks into the year. I don't know if this is going to come back onto my list because it is definitely not a horror movie, and that trailer does a lot to kind of like get you to think that it is a horror movie. Um, but I don't think that like it's rated R for some reason. I'm not even sure why.
it's got a little, there's
Language,
a couple F words. Yeah, it's mostly the
yeah,
kid. It's Eddie. Eddie. Is it Mayday? Tyler. character Tyler
Oh,
swears, and that's kind
yeah,
of part of his character of like there's an intent to be like this guy, this kid is just kind of awful.
right. Um, we can talk spoilers unless Alex, do you want to see this movie?
If it helps, I don't actually feel the need to.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm on the fence, so probably not. It
I
sounds like one of the yeah.
I think that you should. I think that
I
I won't
agree.
like I so let's not go into spoilers. I think that you should see it. It's not I think it's better than Wolfman, to be honest with you. Like I'm with Ryan. I think this is probably the best movie of the year so far. Yes, 3 weeks in, but it is an interesting take on family drama and like the ghost story type of genre. But I do suggest it. It is a quick, like I said, I only think it's like an hour and 28 minutes, 26 minutes,
I
something like
think
that.
in our programming, I think our credits rolled at an hour 23 minutes.
Yeah, so it's pretty quick.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah,
it's
so
pretty
yeah,
impactful
okay.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
I'll it's apparently it's a horror slash psychological thriller. So I'm like, if you wanna think of it as a horror, they apparently have it that way, but they're
Domestic
like,
drama told through the eyes of a
yeah,
yeah,
ghost.
Alex, it's like seriously, like Alex, that's the like you like the camera view and you as the audience being the presence is literally the only supernatural thing that actually like
yeah.
happens in this movie. And like
Sounds
Alex
like it.
and like
Okay.
Ryan said, there is one sequence that like can be spoiled, but like books move and are put in a different spot, and they're like, oh,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that
So
was
a
about
room
it.
gets thrown apart,
Yeah,
ghosty things, but normal ghost things.
yeah,
Okay. Well, all right.
yeah,
I'll add it to my to-do list.
yeah.
Sure.
All right. So that's the movies that came out next last week. Yay! Um, so our next movie, this for next week's call is going to be Companion with Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher, I believe.
Yes.
Directed by the same guy that did Barbarian, which was an
Ooh.
interesting movie. Put it
Yes.
that way. It was all right.
Decent setup. Very not crappy ending, but very fumbled ending.
That is one of those
Weird.
movies. It was weird.
I
Oh
hadn't thought
yeah.
about
Ryan.
Barbarian since we watched it.
Um, I believe that movie was going in a certain direction and was like, hold that thought. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. And was like, what's Justin Long been doing for the last 10 years? He seems to be a realist or some
That
guy
is
in
exactly the question it
Malibu.
stops to ask.
It's one of the better I think I gave that a five. I think it's one of the better fives you can watch.
Yeah. So it's like that beginning is a very different take than the ending.
I think
Oh yeah.
I want to say I
Um,
gave it a solid seven.
Yeah, it
but
was,
yeah, I'm hoping that Companion, like apparently it's already getting massively great reviews. It was a mystery movie for anybody I think who did that this last Monday. And it reviewed really, really well. So but our location is gonna be getting Companion. Dogman, I may see that if I just have like 2 seconds to go and sit down and do that. So companion Dogman, the Brutalist for the like just bringbacks for us, and then Valiant One, which I read the premise for that, and it sounds okay. I don't expect too much, but I think I'm gonna try and maybe catch all four of those. Really, just the three. Dogman's definitely on the bottom of the ladder there. So, but yeah, so I'll hopefully be able to talk about all of those.
Clint,
But yeah,
I definitely thought you were right, but I'm wondering. I see writer director here is Drew Hancock, who had done like literally nothing I've seen.
did he not do the brutal or the
Barbarian was written and
Barbarian?
directed by Zach Kreger.
Huh.
But I could have sworn maybe it's like the studio that brought. I definitely could have sworn that this boasts
Yeah,
about
what
it
was it?
being.
Something by the Barbarian, right?
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I thought. Not to like stop and correct you, but I was like,
No, please do. But
just
I
a,
thought,
just a. I totally agree with you. I'm gonna while we talk about next week's movie, I'm gonna pull up the trailer on mute and see if it mentions the movie Barbarian in it.
Hmm. But yeah, so
oh,
hopefully it's projected. I'm reading to do somewhere to 8 to 10 million. So who knows what that's gonna exactly mean? But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, companion. Um, I don't. I
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have a generally good feeling that this will hold up. Like I'm expecting like just at least a decent. And I mean, what's the runtime on this one? Like
137.
137. And so
Yeah.
that means it knows when to end. So that's always a good thing.
You notice Brutalist being the exception, like every movie out right now and coming out is like 90 minutes. 90 minutes. I looked at the next weekend's releases of Love Hurts and Hard Eyes. Like they don't even average 90 minutes together. They're both like an hour 20 to an hour 25.
wow.
Can't wait for the Brutalist to help balance all of the runtimes all at once in one movie.
Maybe they did a survey and they're like, guys, these hour 55, 2 hour and 15-minute movies, they're really not cutting it that much anymore. We need like 130 max.
Oh, weird movies. I will
Yeah,
definitely
really.
catch Companion. I will probably catch The Brutalist, and I might catch Dogman. I am not catching Valiant One because I'm probably going to see Complete Unknown if I even have time for a fourth movie in there.
Yeah, really.
That's fair.
And Valiant One will be gone after a week. Every time we don't know it's coming, it's just DOA.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, guys. Do we have anything else?
Nope.
No? All right. Well, everybody watching, please leave us a like, a comment, and please subscribe to our channel because we do this for fun and we like to talk to you guys. So talk back, please. But yeah, until next week, we'll see you later.